Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second public informational meeting for the NEPA design phase of the Arlington Avenue Bridges project. I am Judy Tortelli, project manager for the RTC, and here to share information with you and get your feedback. This is our second step to engage the public in this exciting project. For those of you that don't know, RTC started the process of getting the two bridges on Arlington Avenue replaced back in 2019. We kicked off the NEPA design phase at the end of 2021 and anticipate starting construction in 2025. You are watching a pre-recorded presentation that will run until September 16th. RTC will also be holding an in-person meeting on August 11th from 5 to 7 at the McKinley Arts Center, 925 Riverside Drive. The material you are viewing will be presented at that meeting, where team members will be available to provide explanations, answer questions, and get your feedback. This public informational meeting includes a survey giving you an opportunity to vote on what these bridges are going to look like. Please take our survey so we can get your comments and feedback. We need your input to help shape the design of these bridges. So the purpose of this presentation is to get your feedback so we can move into final design and get construction underway. The team has been busy and there is a lot of information to cover. However, to be sensitive of your time, I have structured this presentation to start with what we need from you, and the background information of how we got to the options presented will follow. We have a really cool Build-A-Bridge tool that you can use to see what the various bridge aesthetic options are going to look like before you vote. The survey is where you can vote on bridge railing, lighting, and pylon options. I will give you an overview of the major impacts accompanying the bridge construction, provide some history and background of what we have been up to, update you on the landscape, aesthetics, and design, go through the environmental and permitting requirements we have to meet, and end with where we go next. Review of the purpose and need of the project happened throughout the feasibility study. Initially, FHWA, NDOT, and the City of Reno agreed on the content. It was also vetted with the City of Reno Council, technical advisory committees, stakeholder working group, and the public. The purpose and need statement describes the intention of the project and states the problem. Ultimately, it sets the stage for developing and evaluating possible improvement alternatives, but is not mode specific or biased toward a particular solution. The project needs to maintain a functional bridge over the river, improve safety and multimodal access to the park area, and meet flood capacity requirements. It also needs to coincide with adopted regional and community plans. I can't stress enough that we need your input. You can provide your feedback by taking our survey. The Build-A-Bridge tool displays the various aesthetic choices together in a photo simulation. Let's jump right into it. Based on design goals and elements, 3 bridge railing options were developed. All 3 railings are required to be vehicular rated, meaning crash resistant from vehicles, and must meet accessibility requirements for openings in the railings. All 3 options have an overlook on both sides of the North Bridge. This is a place where pedestrians can view the Truckee River and surroundings, looking both east and west. The South Bridge will be designed using the same railing type as the North Bridge. Also note that these views do not include bridge lighting. The 3 bridge railing options are option 1, here on the top, which is a Texas Department of Transportation vehicular rated design. The concrete railing would be used in both the straight and overlook railing sections. Option 2, here in the middle, is a metal railing system that is more transparent, so viewers on the street and sidewalk can have more open views of the Truckee River and surroundings. Option 3, down here on the bottom, is a hybrid of options 1 and 2, with a metal railing system at the overlooks and concrete railing on the straight sections of the bridge. So here is an overall view of option 1, photo simulated at the actual location. Its concrete railing system is based on a Texas Department of Transportation vehicular rated design. And here is a photo simulation of option 2. You can see this one is a metal railing system that is more transparent, so viewers on the street and sidewalk can have more open views of the Truckee River and surroundings. And here's option 3. This one, like I said, is a hybrid of option 1 and 2 with the metal railing here at the overlook and then the concrete railing on the straight sections. Pedestrian-scaled lighting is planned to be used on the bridges to illuminate the sidewalks, overlooks, and the street. 2 options for pedestrian lighting are shown. One type will be chosen for final design. Option 1 is a pole with an LED post-top luminaire. The pole with post-top light could be used with any bridge railing type, all concrete, metal, or concrete with metal overlook railings. The photo over on the right shows several types of post-top lights. The final choice of post-tops will be determined at the next phase of design with detailed lighting studies. Option 2 is a custom light column with a bridge rail motif. The column light could be used with a metal bridge railing type, metal or concrete, with metal overlook railing. The layered metal features in the column would also be used in the metal railing detailing. Lighting is planned beneath the railings. This will illuminate the sidewalks for pedestrians. You can see from these photos, accent lighting can be provided with either option 1, the concrete barrier rail, the photo on the left, or option 2, the metal bridge railing, the photo on the right. Pylons will be placed at the ends of the bridges and at the midspan overlook on the North Bridge. 3 pylon design group options are shown for consideration. Only 1 pylon group will be chosen for the final design. The options include Group A, photos on the upper left. This one has a tall end pylon with shorter midspan pylon with cascading sides. Group B, photos on the upper right, have a shorter end pylon and midspan pylons similar to those on the Virginia Street Bridge. Group C, photos on the bottom, have a mid-sized end pylon and mid pylons with cascading sides. Here is an example showing pylon group A placed on top of the North Bridge with an all-metal railing system. This shows the pole with LED post-top light at the midspan pilasters and a custom light at the end pylon. The photo on the bottom right is a blow-up showing the metal pedestrian fence. There are vertical strips of metal spaced to meet pedestrian accessibility requirements. This image highlights the abutment walls and the pier on the North Bridge by the green arrows. As shown, they will have a texture. The pattern is designed to coordinate with the overall bridge design. Textured surfaces typically deter graffiti.
This figure shows the streetscape elements along Arlington Avenue over the Truckee River between Island Avenue and First Street, with North pointing to the right. Sidewalk areas between First Street and Island Avenue will be reconstructed as part of the project. Elements included with this work are large canopy shade trees placed at approximately 30 feet on center spacing between existing trees and between the bridges. These are indicated by the lighter green tree symbols. This is based on the City of Reno goal to increase the shade tree coverage, meet city code requirements, and reduce the urban heat island within the city limits. Existing trees will be protected and maintained where possible. Several trees require removal because they are extremely close to either the sidewalk, abutment, or flood wall reconstruction areas. These trees will be replaced with shade trees. Sidewalks are planned to have diagonal joint patterns and medium gray color concrete. The diagonal joint patterns are accents that complement the bridge railing designs. The sidewalks will be designed for a smooth transition from the street to the sidewalk and into the park to maintain accessibility during special events. The goal for the street and pedestrian lighting is to use pedestrian-scaled lights as much as possible to light sidewalks and the street. Lighting on the bridges can be provided by either the LED post-top luminaire, custom column light, and/or custom end pylon light combination. Taller streets may also be required along the street. The lighting design will be finalized in the next phase of work. Now I would like to move into discussing the impacts of construction. We anticipate to have a contractor selected by August 2024. This September 30th date is important because that is the deadline for our raised grant fund obligation. We can only work within the river during non-flood season, so we are limited to July 1st through October 31st. The team anticipates that the contractor will build the North Bridge first in 2025 and then the South Bridge in 2026. We anticipate construction to be complete by the end of 2026. I'm going to go over a construction limits map and also discuss the temporary Wingfield Park closure. The environmental team has been working hard to define the effects this project will have on Wingfield Park. Based on coordination with the City of Reno Parks Department, Wingfield Park and the Whitewater Park will be closed to public access during construction. This is a big impact because it will be closed for up to 2 years during the bridge replacement. Serious consideration was given to keeping a portion of the park open for public access. However, public safety being the utmost priority, followed by a positive park user experience, led to the decision to temporarily close the park. I would like to highlight some of the key points that led to this decision, mainly significant safety concerns for the public associated with dewatering controls, heavy construction equipment next to the park and river users, water diversions of the Truckee River, and various construction activities that would all have a negative effect on the park user experience, ability for access in the event of an emergency, and challenges with park maintenance. This temporary closure is intended to mitigate risk to park users. Extended park closures for construction projects have occurred in the past and include City Plaza and portions of the Riverwalk for the Virginia Street Bridge and Fisherman's Park for the NDOT Spaghetti Bowl project. Here is that construction limits map that I wanted to show you. This red dashed line here is our anticipated limits of construction. We are going to be digging some pretty big holes here at Island Avenue and First Street to construct our bridge abutments. This area at Island Avenue is really tight, and we are anticipating that shoring will be required, so one-way access to Island Avenue can be maintained. Some assumption the design team discussed based on constructability review of the 30% design submittal included construction staging and what we anticipate the contractor to do. There's not a lot of room within this project area for the contractor to stage. We anticipate the contractor will be using Arlington Avenue to stage equipment, this area here between the two bridges. One of the challenges that the contractor is going to have is that they have to build two bridges, the North Bridge and the South Bridge, all within one construction site. Water from the river is going to have to be diverted to build these bridges, and dewatering to get our pier and abutments in will also have to happen. I would like to caution that this is all a guess of how the contractor will phase and build the project. We don't have a contractor on board yet, and once the project is awarded, this approach may change. There will be specific limitations placed on the contractor, mainly dealing with traffic control, staging restrictions, and the time allowed for work within the river. During construction, Arlington Avenue will be closed to through traffic at Court Street, but allow local traffic in to access Island Avenue, which will be one way. Access to Park Tower, Barbara Bennett Park, and the residences at the west end of Island Avenue has to be maintained throughout construction. On the other side, over here at First Street, one-way traffic will be provided to provide the contractors some more room to build this abutment. During construction, the contractor will be required to maintain emergency access at all times. When the contractor builds the north bridge, that access will be from the south. That emergency access will be from the south. And when the contractor builds the south bridge, that emergency access will be provided from the north. Here is a map showing what the temporary Wingfield Park closure will look like. You can see here that Arlington Avenue will be closed to through traffic throughout construction. This orange dotted line here signifies some sort of fencing that the contractor is going to have to put up to actually close the park down. These pedestrian bridges will be blocked off. There's three, one here, one over here, and one over here. Contractor will also have to put in some sort of river blockage here, signified by these red thick lines here, here, and here, to keep people that are in the river from floating down into the construction zone. As far as people floating within the river, the contractor will be providing some upstream signage at key points. We're thinking right now those will be Mayberry Park, Chrissy Collin Park, and Idlewild Park, letting people within the river know that the Truckee River is closed. Access to Truckee River is closed at Wingfield Park. Another thing with this park closure that I wanted to highlight is Riverwalk, the Riverwalk Detour. That is highlighted by this green arrows. Here's the Riverwalk, and we're anticipating that we'll be detouring pedestrians through this little alley and up around this way. The temporary closure of the park lessens risks to park users during construction. Fortunately, the park system within the vicinity is robust, and parks users will still have the opportunity to enjoy green space at Bicentennial Park over here, Barbara Bennett Park over here, and the West Street Plaza over here. Now I will move into a bit of project history and background information. Our first public informational meeting ran live earlier this year from March 14th through April 18th. With that meeting, RTC conducted a survey and received 164 responses and 8 email comments. I will touch on a few of the survey questions in the next few slides. The team has been busy with a ton of meetings. Here I have summarized our outreach efforts with the stakeholder working groups developed earlier this year. Agency and utility coordination meetings focus on keeping members of the group informed on environmental issues and design decisions. These meetings have also helped engage the utility companies, so we get relocations and upgrades included early on as the design moves forward. Technical discussions, digging into the details of the design, are happening at our design review committee meetings. Our aesthetic stakeholder working group has put a lot of time and effort into developing the aesthetic options that you will be voting on when you take our survey. I'm excited to see good attendance throughout this process and think the team has done a great job developing the design to a 30% stage. Later on in the presentation, I will highlight some of the key decisions that these groups have made on compiling all of the input received. Materials from these meetings is posted on our website and available for review. We also have the survey results and responses to comments posted on the website from our first public meeting. Let's get into some questions from our first survey. Here I have question number 5, which was, when traveling on Arlington Avenue across the Truckee River, which of the following best describes your trip purpose? You can see here that about 42% of people crossing the bridges on Arlington Avenue do it to access Wingfield Park for recreational purposes. The park really draws in members of our community, and this project will improve access. This connection over the Truckee River helps connect people to shopping, work, and medical facilities. So on to question 6. which was, as the design team reviews constructability options, what do you feel are the most important elements to consider? You can see here, about 58% of people who took our survey noted maintaining pedestrian access to Wingfield Park as the most important element to consider. Next in line were minimizing river disturbances, maintaining a certain look of the bridges, and minimizing the construction timeframe. I realize access to Wingfield Park is a priority, but as discussed earlier, we're going to have to close the park down for construction. Precast box girders will be used for the bridges to minimize construction schedule. This reduces construction from 4 years to 2 years and minimizes river disturbances compared to using a cast-in-place superstructure. Regarding the look of the bridges, you get to shape that piece within the modern Art Deco theme chosen to complement the history of the project area. And one more, question 9. Do you think protected micromobility lanes should be included within the project? Here, we see a little over half of the folks that responded to our survey want protected micromobility lanes. There has been much discussion around this topic, and the current design provides buffered bike lanes along Arlington Avenue. Micromobility discussions keyed in on several items, which included special event access and utilizing Arlington Avenue as a plaza, tripping hazards with various curb height elevations, creating a conflict between walking pedestrians, bikers, scooter, and transit riders. The overall geometry and pedestrian vehicle separation was considered. Based on these competing interests, crash data, posted speed limit, and continuity of existing bike lane infrastructure, the Aesthetic Stakeholder Working Group, Design Team, and City of Reno has recommended buffered bike lanes. It is important to note also that Parks and Recreation was ranked as #1 as an environmental resource concern. The park is heavily used and people want to be able to continue to enjoy this area. Now on to some of those key decisions that I was telling you about. So for our bridge type, we will be building a single pier for the North Bridge and a clear span for the South Bridge. Both bridges will be precast bridge girders. The pedestrian path under the South Bridge was determined not feasible. This was mainly due to safety concerns and the fact that it was going to end up looking like a tunnel under the roadway. We also reviewed roadway geometry and determined that wider sidewalks were needed and overlooks on the North Bridge would be nice to have. We looked at adjusting lane configurations to accommodate all modes of transportation. We've improved pedestrian circulation and proposed to enhance pedestrian crossings at Island Avenue. We're also improving the loading zone and transit areas. Landscape and aesthetic design goals were developed during the earlier feasibility study phase of the project to guide the development of the bridge and streetscape design. These were developed through stakeholder and public input. The goals are to create a cohesive design language, enhance the pedestrian experience, provide contextual and historical relevance, and look at innovation and sustainability. A few things that I wanted to highlight under this contextual and historical relevance. A big thing that we heard about is from the public and the stakeholders was that we should leave the Virginia Street Bridge to be kind of the landmark bridge of the area with others focal bridges. Building upon the landscape and aesthetic design goals, the elements of the bridge and streetscape design were described also. Again, these were developed through stakeholder and public survey input. The landscape and aesthetic elements are: use modern design elements with a melding of the old and the new. Use pedestrian-scaled lighting where possible. develop bridge accent lighting, develop a transparent traffic-rated bridge railing, maintain pedestrian accessibility throughout Arlington Avenue, widen bridge sidewalk and/or provide overlooks, treat abutment walls and flood walls uniquely, develop seamless transitions from sidewalks to street paving. So let's look at this figure again to talk through some of the design updates. You can see here proposed striped bike lanes along Arlington Avenue that will tie into existing infrastructure both north and south of the project limits. We are widening the sidewalks indicated by this gray hatched area here on both sides of the road. You can see the overlooks proposed on both sides of the North Bridge, here and here, with nothing on the South Bridge. The South Bridge will just be straight. We are improving existing loading zones and increasing concrete pads to accommodate transit riders. This one on the west side here, and the one on the east side here. This east side loading zone will be connected to the existing sidewalk path within Wingfield Park. The traffic lane configuration at the First Street intersection has been adjusted to provide the additional room that we need to fit in the bike lanes. The existing through and right turn pocket have been combined into a single through right lane right here. So we're going to have a through right going north and a left turn pocket. Let's talk a bit about pedestrian circulation because it's really important within this park setting. The existing pedestrian path under the North Bridge will be improved with this project. As discussed earlier, a pedestrian path under the South Bridge is not feasible. We are maintaining the existing pedestrian paths within Wingfield Park. These paths will continue to come up to road level. A big improvement to pedestrian circulation will be down here at Island Avenue. This proposed crosswalk shown in white here will be relocated from the south side of the intersection to the north side. And an overhead pedestrian activated rapid flashing beacon will be incorporated into the South Bridge abutments. Here is a typical section of the North Bridge. This just kind of highlights some of those lane widths that I was showing you on the previous slide. So we will be providing an 8-foot sidewalk. We'll have curb and gutter and then a 5-foot striped bike lane with a striped buffer area that's going to be 2 feet wide. We'll have 3 11-foot travel lanes. And on the other side of the road, again, a 2-foot buffer and then a 5-foot bike lane, 8-foot sidewalk. And where our overlooks project out, those will be about 16 feet wide. So here's our South Bridge section. Again, our minimum sidewalk width is 8 feet. We'll be carrying through those bike lanes, 5-foot bike lane with a 2-foot buffer. We have our 3 11-foot lanes through the corridor, and then again, the bike lane buffer, and then our sidewalk on the other side. There are a number of environmental regulations that RTC must comply with as we design and construct this project. A few of the key requirements are listed here. I'm going to summarize our recent activities and next steps to coordinate with the relevant state and federal regulatory agencies. Because we received federal funding for this project, we are required to comply with the National Environmental Policy Act, referred to as NEPA. NEPA is the framework for environmental planning and decision-making by federal agencies. The lead federal agency overseeing this project is the Federal Highway Administration, or FHWA. FHWA determines what type of environmental study is needed to comply with NEPA. It is anticipated that a categorical exclusion will be needed for this project. As part of this process, we will conduct analyses of how the project would affect various community and natural resources in the vicinity. These analyses will be documented in technical reports prepared this fall. We anticipate NEPA clearance from FHWA in spring 2023. I'll review a few key topic areas that require approvals from other state agencies. First, let's talk about cultural resources, which includes historic resources, archaeological resources, and tribal resources. Resources that are listed or eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places are subject to Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. To comply with this federal regulation, we consult with the State Historic Preservation Officer, referred to as SHPO, Native American tribes, and other participating parties such as City of Reno. The intent is to identify and consider project effects on significant cultural resources and seek ways to avoid, minimize, or mitigate any adverse effects. We started this process during the feasibility study and are continuing to coordinate with consulting parties to establish the area of potential effects and prepare an architectural history survey report. Ultimately, we will prepare an effects determination for significant resources and seek concurrence from the consulting parties. Another resource that we know is important to many of you are the park and recreation facilities in the project area. This map shows the parks, trails, and other recreation properties in the project area. We don't expect any impacts to West Street Plaza, and we only expect minor temporary access restrictions for Riverside Drive Park, Bicentennial Park, and Barbara Bennett Park. We will also need to temporarily reroute Truckee Riverwalk users near the bridges during construction, and we will maintain access using detours. We will likely need to remove a tree at Fulton Corner near the North Bridge. Earlier in the presentation, I reviewed the temporary closure of Wingfield Park, including the Whitewater Park. That is necessary for public safety during construction. We understand this is not ideal, but we need to maintain safety during construction, and we encourage people to use other surrounding recreation facilities while Wingfield is closed. A federal law that we comply with regarding park and recreational resources is Section 4F of the Department of Transportation Act. We are coordinating with the City of Reno on how best to protect the 5 significant recreation resources they own and manage in the project area. It is anticipated that the RTC will request the FHWA to determine that the effects of the project on Wingfield Park, including the Whitewater Park, is a de minimis impact. A de minimis impact finding may be made if the project does not adversely affect the features, attributes, or activities qualifying the property for protection under Section 4F. We must also have an agreement from the City of Reno and provide an opportunity for public input. For more information on this regulation, please visit the website listed here. More details regarding impacts to Wingfield Park, including the Whitewater Park, will be available on the website at Arlington Avenue at arlingtonbridges.com. Another federal law that we are complying with on this project is the Endangered Species Act, which is administered by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We are preparing a biological assessment to evaluate potential impacts to protected species, particularly to protected fish species. One step we will likely take to minimize impact to these species is to conduct in-water work between July and November to avoid spawning periods. Other necessary measures will be established through consultation with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. Permits are driving the schedule of this project. We have to obtain a Section 401, 404, and 408 permit. Each of these permits come with different regulations, requirements, and review times. So the Section 404 permit regulates discharge of dredged or fill material in waters of the U.S. Section 404 deals with water quality certification requirements. Section 408 comes from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and grants permission to alter civil works projects. which would be, in this case, the Truckee River with flood walls, bridges, grading near our project. The Carson Truckee Water Conservancy District is the local representative for the Army Corps of Engineers for this project. And City of Reno also has some requirements associated with flooding. Here is a map showing the Carson Truckee Water Conservancy District's jurisdiction as a local sponsor for the Army Corps of Engineers for a flow of 14,000 cubic feet per second. This equates to approximately a 50-year storm event. The area shown in blue is underwater during flows of 14,000 cubic feet per second. You can see both the bridges and Wingfield Park flood during a 50-year storm event. Currently, there is no existing freeboard at the bridges during major flood events. Freeboard is the distance between the high water line and the bottom of the bridge deck. The design criteria requires no increase in the water surface elevation to ensure any flooding is constrained to the current inundation limits. The elevation at the adjacent Island Avenue and First Street intersections, combined with multiple nearby buildings, prevent the ability to raise the bridge profiles. The hydraulic capacity in the north channel will be slightly improved by the use of a single pier compared to the two piers of the existing bridge. Design of the bridge deck thickness will be optimized to maximize the available area for hydraulic flows under the bridges. In addition to the 50-year storm event, the City of Reno requires a 100-year storm event, a flow of 20,700 cubic feet per second, also be analyzed. The Truckee River Flood Management Authority, also referred to as TRFMA, maintains an extensive and comprehensive hydraulic model for the 100-year flood event. The inundation limits for the 100-year storm event are shown here. I did want to touch on our project timeline. This project timeline covers from 2019 through 2026. It covers the feasibility study, the NEPA design phase, which we are in right now, and construction. This timeline has been out there kind of throughout our project process. Some things that I wanted to highlight are some schedule changes that are noted in red. We held our first public meeting in March. It was a couple weeks later than we had originally planned. Our third stakeholder working group was moved from April to May. And then we added an extra aesthetic stakeholder working group meeting number 4 in June. Right now, we're right here and we're having our second public meeting. Here in 2024, the schedule has changed a little bit. We're anticipating that we will award the construction contract in the fall of 2024, and that actual construction of the bridges isn't going to start until 2025 because of those limitations with doing work within the river during the flood season. So we're thinking the first bridge will be built in 2025 and the second one will be built in 2026. Want to briefly touch on our next steps. There are some upcoming opportunities for you to see how design is progressing. At our third public informational meeting, we will present the design and show you what the final aesthetic package looks like. I'm anticipating having a fourth public meeting, but think I will move it closer to construction. The intent of that meeting was to notify the public of what construction is going to look like. We won't award the construction contract until fall of 2024. I think it will be best to have our fourth public meeting after we have a contractor on board, because then we will really know what construction is going to look like. The design and environmental team will continue moving forward to 60% design. We need to hit utility coordination hard, finalize our lighting analysis, do the bridge design, finalize the aesthetics based on your input, finish environmental technical memos, and push hard to get our permits reviewed as quickly as possible. Check out Build a Bridge, take our survey, and give us your feedback. The survey will be open until September 16th. Once it's closed, the team will compile the information and responses to comments received will be posted on the website. Thank you for your participation, and please join us on August 11th at McKinley Arts Center for the in-person version of this presentation.